Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
Yeah. All right. Okay, here we go. And we're live from... No, we're not live.
Well, we are.
We're alive.
Not when they hear it, but when we're recording it.
Yeah. Tonight is a very special episode. There's probably, I would say that probably half of this episode is going to be for patrons, because we are in the process of getting intoxicated. And our topic for this evening is intoxication itself. So as you can see, somebody decided to pull out a handle, which I wasn't expecting. And I got started about 10 minutes ago, and I'm already feeling a little bit of a buzz.
Yeah, so I just got back from a wine tasting. My daughter turned 21 in prison doing life without parole yesterday. No one can steer her right. Her mama tried. And so tonight we went to a little wine bar in Apex, North Carolina, and did a wine tasting. We have it's supposed to be 2-ounce pours, but they tend to be generous, so they're more like 3-ounce pours. So a couple of wines, but I haven't eaten since lunch. So a bunch of wine, and then I came home and I'm just doing some shots. Sip on it. But,
Yeah.
L'chaim.
I told L'chaim.
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 There you go.
It's not pronounced Hanukkah.
Yeah, get that
Anyway.
going. Ooh, the burn.
Yeah, I'm a big Bernie fan. I told Sarah before when we made the decision to switch the topic to intoxication. I just thought because it's late we could do it. That would be fun. And but I told her, I was like, if you want to, while we're recording, go out and get some Ben and Jerry's, I wouldn't. So I'm hoping to get some Chunky Monkey when we're done with this little record of ours. So anyway, intoxication. We should try to get some of the topic covered before we start getting really intoxicated, so that we could save the fun incoherency for the patrons. But
So we can address the moral judgment of the name intoxication.
sure.
Like it implies that it's toxic right out of the gate. And certainly overuse of alcohol is, but is mild use of alcohol?
Anyway,
I might be too. I just messaged somebody on LinkedIn today who got a former coworker who's like director level when I knew him, so he's either director or VP now. Started somewhere new, and I'm like, if you're looking for someone, I'm getting the smell is in the air that it might not be a great place to be anymore. So maybe give me a call. And he checked my LinkedIn profile after I did. He hasn't replied to me, but he did check my profile. So
nice. So as far as toxic in intoxication, I always took that as the understanding that like even like a mild buzz, we're getting buzzed because it's almost I don't know if poison is the right word, but it is.
It's depriving you of oxygen to your brain, but it's not.
Oh,
But is it poisoning you? I don't know. How many studies say that a certain amount of red wine every day even is good for you because of the different things that are in it.
Well, and I don't know if you listened when they talked about that specific statement on Dear Old Dads, but they mentioned that that's not that it's actually good for you. It's just that like if you're gonna drink red wine. Like,
well, I'm gonna.
Red wine is better than beer, or are you drinking whiskey? Is that what that is?
Yeah, right now I am. I was wine earlier, but it's a Jim Beam apple, so it's not full on whiskey. It's only 32.5% alcohol, which is 65% proof. It's not like I'm drinking straight Jim Beam. It's sweet and it's flavored, so it'll be more moderate for the podcast, so I don't get plastered in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of. We'll do a little story time for intoxication episode. I never drank in high school. I literally did not touch. I had not had a drop of alcohol throughout until 3 weeks before I went off to college. 3 weeks before I went off to college, I was with a couple of my friends at my friend Wes's house, and I was like, hey, like I'm probably gonna drink at college. I should probably like have a little bit here, and you know, so we got. I think I had a shot of Smirnoff, and then I had a Smirnoff Ice, and so I was, I got my first little bit of intoxication there. Um, but fast forward about a month or so, month and a half maybe. My roommate, his older sister would buy alcohol for us, and she would like bring him back to campus, like she was dropping him off for school, and he'd walk in with his bag, and it would just be alcohol. There was no like fresh or laundry or whatever it was that he did. Like it would look like that was what it was, but it was just 7 or 8 people's orders of alcohol. And I, being a new drinker and not knowing what I liked yet, asked for a handle of sour apple pucker. Or no, was it sour apple or was it watermelon? I feel like it was sour apple pucker, which I don't know if you know what pucker is.
Mm-mm.
It's
Some math thing.
schnapps.
Yeah.
It's like a schnapps brand, but it's something that you would never drink. Like I guess you could drink schnapps straight, like a little
Oh, you
bit of like
certainly
a
can, but you do a little shot of it. You don't
yes,
get drunk on it because it's all sugar.
no, yeah. So I walked around the dorm at this party. I ran out of because I bought Sprite I got a 2 liter of Sprite, and I was like, I'll mix it with Sprite. It'll be great. But everybody thought that the Sprite was just the party Sprite, and so my Sprite was out in like 30
The
seconds,
party Sprite.
and I just had this thing with nothing to mix with it, and so I literally just with a bottle like the size of yours, uh, of sour apple schnapps, and I have never drank pucker ever again since.
That'll do it.
So when did you start drinking?
Later than you. I mean,
Really?
earlier than you because you were like 5, but later than you, relatively. I didn't drink at all in high school, and like maybe I stole a sip of beer or two from my brother who was in college when he visited. But he drank good beer. I mean, relatively good beer for the time, St. Pauli Girl in Carlsberg. So it was way too strong for a first beer. So it was like disgusting to me. Like I took a sip and poured the rest down the sink.
It was like taking a sip of Guinness or something.
Yeah. Oh, Guinness is much easier. Guinness is
Oh,
much
is it?
easier. Yeah. And but then I went to Europe for the summer, and I still didn't drink in Europe. But in Europe, it seemed impossible to get flat water. Like water was with gas every time, so it was carbonated water all the time, mineral water, but carbonated. So by the time I and I never liked seltzer growing up, but summer of not having a choice but to drink it, I got used to it. And then when I started college and someone offered me like a Bud and I drank it, I'm like, this is no different than seltzer. Like this is the same thing. So I would have one or two. Like we go to a strip club that didn't check IDs in Brooklyn and have a Budweiser or two while we were watching really bad strippers. Um, but still didn't
What's the
get
difference between bad strippers and good strippers?
good strippers are attractive.
Oh, okay.
Someone maybe come over with a Russian accent. You're a good looking boy. Do you like to see what you see?
Okay. Honestly, any Russian
Yeah.
accent with that voice, there's plenty of women that that have a Russian accent where you'd be like, oh yeah, oh I do have a good porn story for you.
And, but then Christmas after my first semester of college, went to visit my brother in California, and I turned 18 in November of my freshman year of college. So I started college as a 17-year-old, just because I have a late birthday. And visiting my brother, having just turned 18, he was like, "You're in a fraternity. You've started drinking. You're going to be getting drunk. You're getting drunk with me first." So the week I was with him, I got drunk, I think 3 or 4 times over that one week. The first time being playing drinking games, drinking Molson Golden and Moosehead beer, so strong Canadian beers, and I had like a 6 pack. I drank like 6 playing drinking games. Didn't realize how drunk I was till I got up to try to go to the bathroom, and my legs were fucking lead. And I remember him and his roommate was going skiing the next day and staying up all night because they were leaving like 3 or 4 in the morning, and they were talking about the nature of love. And I had at 18 insight to the nature of love. And I literally crawled up the stairs to join their conversation because I couldn't walk. And
the year that you turned 18, I think the power of love was a big part of that year, wasn't it?
Yes. Power of Love probably came out the previous spring, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, power of love. And like a night or two later, we my brother just started brewing his own beer. And speaking
Mm.
of Guinness, he brewed porter, and so we drank. I was calling it Brother Brew. He was calling it Lee's beer, and we drank a lot of beer. Got very drunk, and he had just gotten his first CD player because this was the '80s, and he had the CD of Big Chill soundtrack from the movie, and we were just listening to the same thing, the whole soundtrack over and over again, drinking. And then um, track 11, I think, was Martha and the Vandellas dancing in the streets, and the David Bowie Mick Jagger video had just come out. So we started reenacting the video, like we were in his living room dancing the video. And,
I'm familiar with that from my mom's sweating to the oldies.
woohoo! That was me
Little
sweating to
vicious.
the oldies. And yeah, so my first drinking was with my brother, and like I think one night we were there, we went to a party and got drunk, and he made me drive drunk because I was less drunk than him, so it made sense for me to drive his car, which was a stick, which I didn't drive a stick because I'm from New York, and I drove it like like the afternoon before, whatever. He had taken me for a drive around the parking lot of his company to try to learn how to drive it, and did crap. But driving drunk, I drove fairly well because I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to do anything wrong with people seeing me, so I drove better under pressure.
Nice. Under pressure, different David Bowie song.
Yeah,
Sorry.
another Bowie and Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
So,
I drank a hell of a lot. I, I didn't drink a lot in my fraternity in Brooklyn, really. I drank occasionally. When I moved to North Carolina, I got drunk, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a week. And then, of course, all 3 nights on the weekend.
anyway, back to intoxication. Do you?
But, so I don't drink a lot anymore. I mean, I drink wine regularly, but like I don't drink a lot of wine. I drink a glass of wine or two. And I'm a big guy and I usually drink with food. The last time I was really drunk was New Year's Eve a couple of years ago. We were out in our neighbor's fire pit, and we were drinking all night, beer, wine, whatever, all night, and then champagne around midnight, like a bunch of champagne. And somebody broke out whiskey, and we drank a couple shots of whiskey. And then someone else said, "Oh, I have better whiskey." And went back to his house and brought up better whiskey. And my wife and I did a shot, and then it hit me, "Oh crap, we've done like 3 shots in like 15 minutes after drinking all night. This is not good." So we were literally next door, and I said, "Honey, we're going home." She's like, "No, I'm having fun." I'm like, "We're going home." And I dragged her in the house, and literally we walked through the door, and our legs turned to rubber, and we fell to our knees. Like we had to crawl through the house. It all hit us so hard.
Was it like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street? I have the phone.
Exactly like that, except in our house.
Yeah,
It hit really hard. It was
I
like
fucking love that scene. That's a Quaalude specific
yeah.
thing, I think, but yeah.
So, do you have a test for when you know that you're getting on that line of going from buzz to drunk? A personal way to evaluate yourself?
With alcohol, I get like I can literally drink a drink and I would say I'm drunk enough that I shouldn't drive. Like I'm drunk. I have very little tolerance. I don't like drinking enough, and so I never did it with any consistency. Also, when I drink, because I hate the taste of beer, and I basically drink like really sugary shit. So
Like
like
this Jim Beam apple.
yeah, but I would mix like that Jim Beam apple with like a Coke or something, and or I'll get like a whiskey sour or something that is going to or an amaretto sour where I'm getting sugar as quickly as I'm getting alcohol, and so I
Yeah,
end up
I'm
with
looking for
like
what else do I have on my shelf that's not so sweet, so I won't
oh
kill
yeah.
myself.
So no, I end up getting I get basically that line between buzzed and drunk. I'm on that line at one drink. Who's talking to you?
My wife offering me food, but then I won't get drunk as fast.
Yeah. Well, I don't care. Um. So anyway, what was I saying? This is gonna happen more and more. Just so you know. um. It's,
Sugary thing is too sweet.
yeah. So my stomach. So like I feel like if I keep like I can get about 3 drinks in, and I'm very drunk, but I'm also like I know that I'm gonna just feel shitty from my stomach hurting if I drink any more. I might be able to go as much as 5 drinks if it's like a margarita or something that's not super sugary. But like if I go like amaretto sours, it's like 3 and I'm done.
When I first moved to North Carolina, I needed to find a place to live. So I already belonged to my fraternity from the New York chapter, but there were no empty slots in the fraternity house. So there was one guy who was behind on his rent and dues, and they offered to kick him out to make a slot for me. And I'm like, oh no, this is not a way to make friends and influence people. Kicked out one guy so I could live here. And there's one guy who just dropped out of upperclassman who just dropped out of school, and he was looking for an apartment. And so we went in together and got an apartment together. Turned out he's an alcoholic, like literally, like his dad had died from alcoholism, like lost his high-powered sales job and kicked out of the house and died on the streets from alcohol abuse. And his mom would send him snippets of news articles about how it's genetic all the time. And he did tons of coke. So he would do tons of coke and then drink tons of alcohol. I would come home and have no idea. He'd mostly drank beer, and I would have no idea how much beer he drank until I checked how much was left, because he'd buy a case of Bush Light every day, and I'd have to see what was left to know if he drank 2 or 10, because there was no way to tell. And but at parties, he would drink bourbon and water, and he was like, "Matthew, you have to learn how to drink bourbon and water. That's what we drink in this fraternity. We drink bourbon and water." Yeah, everyone who graduated the semester before drank bourbon and water. So I learned to drink bourbon and water because that's what Pete drank, but like nobody else drank that. But I went home Christmas break back to my fraternity in Brooklyn because I had transferred down after 2 years, and go out to a club and I get a bourbon and water because that's what I'm used to drinking. And one of my fraternity brothers comes over and thinks it's like ginger ale, and in Brooklyn we all just drank beer. Nobody drank mixed drinks at all, or highballs or anything. So he grabs my bourbon and drinks and goes, "What the fuck is this shit?" That's what we call a drink here in a bar.
Nice. So you mentioned coke, or cocaine. That's what you meant when you said
I did.
coke and drinking.
Yes, Pete.
Okay, because I realized afterwards that people do mix coke.
Pete would wake me up at 3 a.m. Matthew, get up, get up. I'm like, what the hell? Is the apartment on fire? He goes, no, I'm wired. I want to talk.
Yeah. So people never believe me when I say this. I think you probably will, but like I tell people and they're like, you got to be crazy. Other than weed and prescription drugs, and I have never seen illegal drugs. I've seen signs of illegal drug activity, and I've seen remnants of illegal drug activity. But I'm sure I've been in the room with people who've had coke in their pocket, but I've never seen it. So like people talk about it, and I just have no idea what they're talking like I don't know. Like I've seen people that are high that's not a marijuana high, and so I can tell that, but I can't specifically say,
Pete, I don't know that I ever saw Pete doing coke. I mean, we called our shingle, which was like the certificate of being initiated in the fraternity. And you get it framed, and his frame was covered in razor blade marks because he used it like a mirror to cut lines. So I mean, clearly he was doing coke, but I don't know that I ever walked in on him actually doing the coke.
Oh yeah. I didn't drink in high school, and I didn't smoke in high school, like smoke cigarettes or weed. And so the other thing that comes up for me, or used to come up for me a lot, actually it still comes up at least every once in a while. I don't understand measurements of marijuana.
Because it's a metric.
Well, no, because like I just don't know what a lot is. Like so I got pulled over when I was like 17. No, I guess it would have been 18 because I was definitely 18. But I was pulled over with 2 friends in the car. It was like 7:00. We were leaving play practice at high school, and
with theater nerds, the worst people in the world.
Yeah, we got pulled over for having a headlight out, and the cop, gonna harass some teenagers, and so he starts asking me if I have a dime bag or a nickel bag, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, sir. And he thinks I'm being smartass, and he get out of the car. I got like full pat down, and I wasn't used to it then. Now I'm used to it because every single time I go to the airport, I get pat down.
Requested.
Yeah. No. Fun fact is, I have a set of underwear that has this little, what looks like almost a wooden button. I don't know what the button's made of, but it's harder than. It's not clearly plastic, but it's got a button on the fly. So I've gotten every single time I've worn these underwear through the scanner, the body scanner has like a little red spot wherever it is, and it's always at my dick. And I've been saying to Sarah that for like a year, and we're at the airport about a month ago, and she goes through the scanner before me, and then I go through, and I'm getting the pat down, and she's texting me, and I got my Apple Watch on so I can see the text, so I'm like, and I do like one of these, and it says, and her text is just big dick energy, like like.
You could wear
And
a different pair of underwear when you go into the airport. I'm just saying.
I understand, but I like it. I like people thinking that.
Yeah.
No,
It's like the story of the hunter who goes out and gets raped by a gorilla. And so he goes out the next time with a bigger gun, and the gorilla knocks the gun out of his hand and rapes him again. And then he gets like an entourage of people, and he goes out, and the gorilla just rips through everybody, knocks the gun out of his hand, throws him on the ground, and goes, "You don't come here for the hunting, do you?"
I was thinking
like
myself,
you go to the airport for the pat down.
I was thinking more that I was like Spinal Tap than a gorilla rape victim. Can you hear Logan screaming? Jesus Christ! No. I put pillows on the door, like the foot of the door. Here, I don't know. I put pillows there for the last 6 weeks, and you still can hear fucking everything he says. But you're gonna have to start leading in a minute because I am feeling it.
So
should do a marathon.
my favorite drunk wife story.
Yeah.
When we were dating, we went to Myrtle Beach for a fraternity formal weekend, and I brought a bottle of Cuervo 1800, which, if you don't drink tequila, is one of the more expensive tequilas for a college student, at least. Mostly like you can get mezcal for $5 a bottle back then. This was like $20 a bottle, and it was a nicer tequila, not what we usually drank around the fraternity house. And I said to her, "Here's what we'll do. Every half an hour or so, we'll come back to the room and we'll do a shot. So we'll get drunk as the night goes on, and it'll be a good time, but we won't overdo it." And that's what I did with her. What she did was slip away from me every 10 or 15 minutes and find one of my fraternity brothers and say, "We have tequila in our room. You want some?" So she was doing 2 to 3 shots for every shot that I had, because she was going back to my room with my brothers and doing shots.
Nice.
By like midnight or 1, she was so plastered. It was ridiculous. Like she couldn't walk straight. And so we went back to
that's a good reason at a frat house compared to some of the
well,
other
this was in a
reasons.
hotel in in Myrtle Beach, and then we went back to our room, and she was so drunk. I was like helping her back, and I'm like, "Let me give you some like Alka-Seltzer or something like that, because she's already feeling sick. I'm like, you're gonna have a terrible night." And so I make Alka-Seltzer for her, and the water in the Myrtle Beach hotel was like slimy. It was like terrible water, and so she's trying to drink it. She's leaning against the wall, and then she just slowly, like her legs just slipped out from under her, and she slowly slid down the wall and just passed out, and her glass just spilled, and the Alka-Seltzer is going down. It was like a scene from a horror movie, watching the Alka-Seltzer spill, creep across the room. It was a fun weekend.
Correct me if I just said this, but while you were telling your Madhavi stories, I was texting Sarah if I could tell a drunk Sarah story.
I got a dirty look from Madhavi while I was telling her drunk Madhavi.
Well, and then I realized she didn't respond because she's probably playing Fortnite. But I realized that, like, as you were telling your story, as I said that before when you said you were going to tell a Madhavi story, and then while you were telling your story, I sent back, "Never mind. Your drunk stories are like
my wife got drunk and did nothing bad."
Yeah, no. Well, Sarah didn't do anything bad, but like she would be so fucking like mad if I told one of her stories after she heard that story.
Mild story. My wife drank too much.
Oh, yeah. So yeah. So we won't be telling any Sarah drunk stories.
One of my fraternity brothers was really, really drunk, and he was in the even his girlfriend were in the connecting room from ours, and he's banging on the connecting door at like 3 a.m. We're fast asleep. I wake up, what the fuck? And he's banging on the door, and I whip the connecting door open, and he's standing there, and he has a pretzel in his hand. He's like, "Want a pretzel?" "Thank you." I snatched it out of his hand and slammed the door and locked it.
Nice.
Madhavi and I cannot eat pretzels without referencing that since 1987.
Yeah. I was not getting drunk in 1987 because I would have been 3 years old.
Actually, it was probably 88. Because it was 87. We started dating in 87, but the weekend was Valentine's, so it would have been Valentine's 88.
So you guys have been together. I just want to put this into perspective, and maybe this is obnoxious because I'm drunk, or intoxicated. I mean, but
The word of choice.
you and Madhavi have been together longer than Sarah's been alive. Did you know that? Like I've been alive longer, but Sarah was born in 88. And so
we met in August of 87. We always consider Labor Day we're actually dating, not just went out a couple of times.
Sure. So you were dating a full year before she was born, because she was born September 12th, 1988.
Yeah,
Her
so
social
Labor Day of
security number
88,
is no.
we were driving up to King's Dominion to meet a bunch of our friends, and they all flaked. And while we were driving, I was like, hey, 6 more hours and we'll be in New York. So we just drove to New York together, and we decided we've been dating about a year. We should celebrate this as our 1 year dating anniversary. We didn't know the real date was, and so that became our dating anniversary. Just Labor Day weekend, whatever the date happened to be. I'm eating some potato chips, so I have something in my system that I haven't eaten since 12:30.
This doesn't work the same way.
Yeah. I know, but this does.
Yeah. I did eat a bunch, although I could really use some Ben and Jerry's. I'm just going to...
I met one of them. I don't know which one. When I was at Glaxo, we had one of them come speak about how you can become rich and be super successful while still being moral and a good person. And they talked about all the charity things they did and all the brownies that they use, like for all their things that have brownies, or at least at that time, came from one bakery that only hired ex-cons that were in halfway house and looking for a job to get them back into society. Like they read about this place and said, that sounds like a really great place. And they went to them and said, what can you make the most of? And they were like, brownies. Like, we are only buying our brownies from you because we want to support you in doing your mission.
Yeah.
It's like we have to buy brownies from someone. We can buy it from a giant factory, or we can buy it from someone who's doing good.
So, have you ever been to either of the Ben and Jerry's factories?
No.
Okay.
I've been to the Ben and Jerry's that used to be on Hillsborough Street and the one that used to be in Chapel Hill.
The one that's still in Hillsborough, I think. That's the one that's across from what's the M college? It used to be all girls.
Well, Meredith is still all girls. Meredith is still all girls. But yeah, I've been to that one too. That's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of there was one.
Isn't that Hillsborough though?
Yeah. That is accurate. I was thinking of the one that was by NC State when I was in college, but but yeah, there is one across the street by Playmakers building across the street from Meredith. Meredith is still all girls. It's Peace that went co-ed, which Peace was all girls but became co-ed.
A coworker of mine went to Meredith, and she has explained it to me at least 4 times, and I'm like, it was all girls, right?
Yeah.
So Anyway.
Yeah, our fraternity tradition was, if you made the mistake, as I did, of giving a lavalier to your girlfriend, which was like a charm of your fraternity letters, which was not quite as serious as pinning them, which was like saying we're going to get engaged when we graduate, but it's like more than going steady kind of thing. Like we are serious.
It's like it's like the Thai food spiciness scale.
Yeah, it's a
dating.
3. It's a 3.
Yeah,
and we
well, married's a 5, engaged is a 4, pinning would be a 3. This would be a 2, and dating is a 1. Right?
Yeah, and so I gave Madhavi a lavalier when we were out to dinner one night. The next night, I had to invite her to dinner at the fraternity house, and my brother and his girlfriend were visiting, so they came too. And during the course of the dinner, I was attacked, as planned, by my fraternity brothers, who dragged me out to the car, drove to Meredith, stripped me down to my underwear. They have a duck pond in Meredith with like a gazebo in the middle. Drag out to the gazebo, strip you down to your underwear, and throw you into the pond, which is like a 3-inch layer of duck shit floating on top of the pond. That's your reward for being in love in my fraternity. So in front of my brother and his girlfriend and Madhavi, I had that wonderful ritual performed. If I had made the mistake of getting pinned while being an undergrad, which I didn't, I pinned her after we graduated when we decided to get married.
Every time you say it, I remember that you explained it, but it takes me a second, and I'm like, he pinned her.
Yeah.
That
Giving her
we're
my
entering
fraternity
phase
pin.
2. We're entering phase 2 of
Yeah.
intoxication.
For giving her a pin, you would be dragged out to the sorority house, staked out and tied down to stakes in front of the fraternity house, stripped naked, have ice water poured on your genitals, so you will be in your least impressive state, and then the fraternity brothers would sing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" from Top Gun, or the Everly Brothers, depending how old you are, and until the girls from the sorority would come out and see you staked out there naked and shriveled up from ice water. So I didn't do that.
Unless you have an
until
ice water fetish and it makes you hard, and then boom,
Yeah.
shrinkage canceled out. Yeah.
But since you were getting pinned, it didn't really make a difference if you impressed the girls in the sorority or not because you were done with them. That Mexican food, not a good scene.
Oh my god.
Could be worse.
I'm
Could have been Indian food.
So Indian food does actually give me that effect sometimes if it's too spicy, or because I get like stuff with a lot of creamy kind of stuff in it, and I'm lactose intolerant, so that's probably why. So like I don't blame.
Get a butter chicken.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame the food. I just assume not to be disgusting, but there's certain foods that just do that, and if I like them, I go for it anyway. But Mexican does not do that typically for me, and so whenever, especially like Taco Bell, everyone likes to talk about getting the shits from Taco Bell, and Taco Bell does sound good. Taco Bell. What was I saying?
You're saying you'd like some Taco Bell with Ben and Jerry's.
This might be where we go. Yes. Okay. Taco Bell does not give me the runs, and I can't understand why I give anybody the runs because it's so basic.
No run for the border.
It is It's ground beef with the the grocery store seasoning packet. It's like literally shredded cheese, shredded lettuce from like the grocery store, and maybe
you might have beans right there.
I don't think I've ever had beans. Maybe on the burrito.
Yeah.
But on like tacos, like the tacos are super basic. The tacos are legitimately just what you would buy.
I probably have been to Taco Bell less than 5 times in my 56 years of life. There wasn't one in Brooklyn when I was growing up. They were on Long Island, but they weren't in Brooklyn. So it was never part of my experience growing up. So it's never been a thing where I've craved Taco Bell. And there's so much good Mexican food. I like good Mexican food, so I don't need to go to crap Mexican food.
Well, here there's very good Mexican food, and I would imagine in New York there's good everything.
I didn't do a lot of Mexican in New York, really. There was Chi-Chi's, and Chi-Chi's was, decent. Like you got a taco at Chi-Chi's, it wasn't ground meat, it was like shredded beef, so it was decently chain shit. Then of course here there's so many Mexicans because of the agriculture here. There's so many good authentic Mexican restaurants.
Really good, yeah.
There's places near my office where I used to have to go with my friend Leonard Hernandez because he would translate the Spanish because there was no English anywhere in the restaurant. Like I didn't know what anything was unless he translated.
Yeah. I really like Tex-Mex too. And we have some good Tex-Mex spots. And what is it called when it's California and Mexico mixed food?
Like Baja.
Baja, yeah. I like that.
That's where burritos
come from. One of those ones that I like every variation.
I think burritos come from San Diego. Like they weren't even a original
San Diego.
San Diego, I'm sorry.
French for a whale's vagina.
Of course.
You know what I'm talking about?
Anchorman.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
San Diego.
I was like, for a second, I was like,
you, San Diego.
Yeah.
I was in an improv show once where, for some reason, I referenced that we were entering Gaping Vagina, Arizona. Like it was this town in Arizona, Gaping Vagina.
Yeah.
And it became a running gag with us. It would come up all the time. Where are you from? Gaping Vagina.
It's like Fuquay Vagina or Fuquay Varina.
Yeah, they were very close to each other.
Yeah. So, are you familiar with Worcester?
Yeah, it's the town in Massachusetts that only natives know how to pronounce.
Okay, town is not correct. It's a city.
It's
the second biggest city in New England. It's bigger than Providence.
Sorry, I'm from Brooklyn, which is the 4th largest city in the world, and it's not a city. It's just part of New York.
Yeah.
My judgment is off on what's a city and what's a town. If it doesn't have 10 million people.
It's structure. It's not
I understand.
population.
It's got a
Because
city council, not a town
I
council. I understand.
Framingham, Massachusetts, at one point, which is where I went to high school, and I
Really,
yes,
I've been to
Framingham.
Framingham
Nice.
because there was
Framingham
a
was the largest town in America for a long time because it was a city, except it didn't have a mayor, and so like, I mean, but like size wise, compared to the area, it was like it was an actual city.
So when you were a little child in Framingham, before I hello, we just gonna walk across. And before I transferred to NC State and met my wife, um, I went to a school called Polytechnic Institute of New York in Brooklyn. But
Yeah.
um, we had a branch that was Framingham, Long Island. And then I had a friend in school who was from Nashua, New Hampshire. And she was like, "There's a Framingham, Massachusetts." And I went to visit her in New Hampshire once. And we went to Framingham, Massachusetts, just because we thought it was funny that there was a Framingham on Long Island that we were in the Massachusetts one.
Yeah.
It was so humorous. And then like
That
that,
is
then she
humorous.
dropped me off at a friend of mine went to Brandeis, and she was dropping me off at his apartment.
Yeah,
So
I grew up, or not grew up. I lived for several years, like right near Brandeis, because I lived in Waltham.
I had dinner at the Ground Round by Brandeis. It was very nice.
I think I've had dinner there. Maybe the same night, but you probably weren't hanging out with like
you were having the kids. It was funny. I ran into a girl I knew from high school, and she was like, "Do you go to Brandeis?" As if that's the only reason you could possibly be in that area. I'm like, "There's 400 universities in Massachusetts. It's like that's the only one."
That's true,
But I was with my
it's a Jewish, it's the only Jewish one,
right. I was with,
and so she was probably being anti-Semitic.
well, no, she was Jewish. And the guy I was visiting was Jewish. It's probably a reasonable assumption. I'm at Brandeis. You must be at Brandeis too. But I was there with a friend from my school and her best friend from home in the area, and they were both. Well, one of them was Chinese, mainland China. The other was half Taiwanese, half American, white American, and I was with both of them. And while we're talking, they came up behind me on either side of me, and I'm like, "No, I'm not from Brandeis. I just met these two girls at a party in New York, and they invited me back here for the weekend with the two of them." And they looked at me and they looked at her, and they both took an arm and kind of cuddled up against me and played up for it. And she was like, "Oh!" I was like, "I gotta go." And we walked off together. And they were like, "You're so lucky we chose to make you look good instead of make you look bad."
So, how are you on a scale of 1 to shit faced? What do you think would?
So when I asked you earlier, and we got off topic, imagine that. If you have a test to know if you're intoxicated or if you're getting there, my test is how numb is my lips. Like if I bite on my lips, so I feel them getting number. And they're a little numb. They're getting there.
Nice. I would say that I'm in the last 10 minutes. I went from like I think a 4, like a 2, and we're doing a 10 scale, right? 2 to maybe like I think I'm probably like at a solid 7 right now. So I jumped a lot. There's a good chance that I could get up to a 9.
No. Okay. Good.
If this,
I found a less sweet whiskey I can switch to. So I'm going to switch to Evan Williams, just Kentucky bourbon.
yeah,
Not a high sugar content like this apple stuff. Apple stuff is good when you're sober. We'll go to real bourbon after this.
bourbon. I have bourbon downstairs. I just drank the rest of the Coke though, so I'm not drinking bourbon.
Yeah,
straight.
I don't drink Coke. I don't like Coke. I'm not a Coke person.
You a Pepsi person?
Diet Pepsi these days because I'm a fat pig. But yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a Soda Stream, so I buy Pepsi Zero syrup and make my own Pepsi Zero. No, I didn't drink until I was 18, which was almost legal for me because when I was 17, 18 was the drinking age. Since my birthday is late in the year, it switched to 19 the year I turned 18 before I turned 18. So all my friends could drink and they were grandfathered in when the drinking age changed, but I couldn't drink.
Is that here or in New York?
In New York. And then by the time I turned 19, it had moved to 21. So I couldn't legally drink until 21, but all my friends were drinking at 18. Though, as I said, I started drinking at 18, just not a lot.
Yeah. I just want to point out for the ladies,
Both of
that
them.
we want to get a lot of ladies listening to this podcast, but or watching. Watching is more important for this particular thing. But I did chapstick the way you like it. That's the way I do it. Not you, Matthew. Women. Women have a specific way, and like lots of guys go, and they fucking hate it. You got to go across the bottom, and
then take a piece of paper on the napkin.
no, that's just if you have
Oh,
lipstick.
it's just
I'm doing
lipstick.
chapstick.
There's
Did I say
no
lipstick?
real difference.
I mean, just like I'm not doing it to be pretty. I'm doing it because my lips fucking hurt.
Yeah, you do cherry lip chapstick. I know you are.
This isn't cherry. This is because they're a sponsor of the show. This is strawberry ice pop.
Oh, strawberry ice pop, much more masculine. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to defame you.
Whenever we talk about stuff, I always say that Logan's the alpha in the house. Except I don't believe in alphas, but
So scientifically, I've seen two different things about alphas. One saying that a lot of the shit that we think of as alpha male is bullshit that like white, men zoologists created based on their interpretation of what they saw in the animal kingdom, and it's not even accurate.
well,
And the other that an alpha male in pack animals would be the one who takes care of all the other ones, not the one who's the toughest. Like their job is to protect the weaker ones,
yeah.
not take superiority over. Like there's alphas in pack animals, but people see it in like, well, we're descended from the apes, and the apes are are alphas, and it's like not really. Like our closest relative is bonobos, and women are in charge in bonobo society.
Yeah. So I did hear a thing, and I'm going to totally screw it up. Nice. Alphas. Originally the guy who came up with the idea of alphas referenced the wolves, right? And alpha wolves. And then as he did more research, he really, he really like had to start trying to explain to people like, no, like wolves aren't alphas. I was wrong. What I was defining was wrong.
Yeah.
And there was some animal that was like closely to what he originally defined as an alpha. But I think it was something that was...
It was house cats.
I think it was sloths or something. Like it was some
Right.
random, like not like unimpressive animal to see, but like something that guys aren't going to want. Like I'm an alpha sloth.
I hang upside down and use my sharp nails to eat fruit.
Yep. And I take forever at the DMV. Did you ever see that movie?
Zootopia, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Flash. His name was Flash.
It wasn't Flash. That's cute. Every fucking reference I make, you're like, got it.
So here's the thing I missed.
Then I mention one black person rapping, and you're like, if it's not the Sugar Hill Gang, I don't fucking know it. You sound like I was gonna say like my parents, because
I'm closer to your parents' age than yours.
Yeah. Are we going for a little bit longer? We gotta make sure that there's a good amount we can.
So there's enough for the general feed.
So we should probably do another 5 minutes at least after the hour.
Yeah, somehow the screen, when the cat went across the screen, my screen got messed up, and now I don't see the data feed anymore about how long we've been recording. That got off the screen. I don't know how the cat did it, so I can't fix it.
Oh, we're at 55 minutes. So we're at like 25 minutes of Feasible Podcast.
So The Drunkest I Ever Was by Matthew Cravat.
Yes.
When I was in college, so it's a long time ago, but I was very drunk. My wife worked second shift at a company, so she didn't come to fraternity parties. She dropped out of school, and she didn't, because she hated classes, but she got a job, and she worked an adult job, and she worked second shift in a computer lab in RTP, and so she would come to parties Friday night at like 11 p.m. or something like that, maybe. She got off maybe at 10. She worked like 2 to 10, and she'd come like at 11. She'd make it back to the party. So I'd be pretty drunk by the time she came. And this one time, there was this girl we used to call her Scary Sherry, and she was all about my fraternity brother Tom. She wanted to get Tom into bed so bad, and Tom had zero interest in her. So she came with a pint of tequila one time to get Tom drunk and get him into bed. And Tom grabbed me and he's like, Matthew, you got to drink with this chick so she just leave me the fuck alone. Protect me. So I drank a pint of tequila with Scary Sherry, and And I probably drank 3/4 of it, because she was this thin little girl and I was a bigger guy. And I was so drunk. And I was so drunk that my fraternity brothers were terrified that I would try to drive home because I didn't live in the house and I would die on the way home. And I was so drunk I could not explain that Madhavi was coming to pick me up. I couldn't get those words out. So they locked me in someone's room, so in the fraternity house, so I couldn't drive home. And Madhavi showed up and she goes, I walk in the house and everyone's like, oh, you got to find Matthew. Oh my God, you have to find Matthew. They were so she comes and they have to unlock the door. It's my brother Rob's room, and they unlock the door and let me out of the room. And then two of my brothers helped half carry me to her car to get me in the car safely to go home because I was very drunk. And so we're driving home, and Madhavi decides she's afraid. I was probably under 21, so she was afraid that we would get in trouble if we got pulled over, even though she's stone cold sober. So she took the back way home to our apartment. We were living together. And it's all curvy roads. So instead of going on Western Boulevard, the main highway, she goes on all these back roads and just twists and turns. And I am sick. And I'm trying so hard not to throw up. We get to our apartment complex. She parks. I get out of the car. I walk over to a tree and I start to puke my guts up. And while I'm puking, a car pulls up and this girl comes out of the car. He says to Madhavi, can you tell me how to get to wherever it was she was going? And Madhavi's, I go, oh, and just stop throwing up and just stand there. And Madhavi's freaking out that I'm so sick and trying to give directions to this girl. And then they finally leave. And as soon as they leave, I'm like, they're gone? I started throwing up again.
So,
it's a joyously funny time in our lives.
Instead of listening to almost any of your story, because I'm going to listen to it in editing, I thought of 3 things I wanted to say, and I'm going to try to think if I can get through them. First of all, are those trapper keepers behind your head?
I don't know. Let me look.
I see the trapper keeper.
They
logo,
are legitimately name brand.
That's fucking awesome. That's a lot of me trying to pay attention to your story was me being like, is that a trapper keeper behind his head? Nice. You were.
Here's the thing: is I don't know where these came from. So here's what's in here. Madhavi was cleaning out a room for her mother to stay with us. These are collectible cards.
Hey,
and I don't collect cards. So somebody gave us these because, oh, Matthew collects comics. He'd like this. But 10 or 15 years ago, so I have no idea who gave it to us.
What year are those?
Yeah.
Because I have the 1994 Spider-Man Complete Edition.
So these are
Godfather.
Fleer Ultra X-Men cards.
Yep.
96. Well, no, that's not the year. That's the numbering of the card. 96, 77. I don't know.
Because mine were Fleer.
Yes, I don't know what they are. Literally, I never collected cards. Somebody gave these to me.
Wow.
And I would need to take a picture of my phone and blow it up. Yes, these are X-Men cards. And this one is... Yeah, so somebody gave us the Trapper Keepers with the cards in it.
Oh, I thought for a second that your kids had Trapper Keepers.
And these are just generic X-Men cards in this one. Not the other one was X-Men. This is generic Marvel, rather.
Is this your same friend Tom that had this one?
I have no idea. Who gave this.
There's a name in the Trapper Keeper. Yep. It says Tom.
Do I know a Tom?
You just told a story about a
Tom. Oh, Tom Bolick. No, that was Tom Bowen. You know what? Okay, I know where this came from.
Hey, I'm getting a little bit... I'm doing pretty good for someone who...
So now this becomes sad. Then now I'm going to bring the house down.
Oh.
Tom was my a boss of mine in my old company. Tom was his son, and Tom died of a brain aneurysm at age 19. And so I guess Willie gave me Tom's cards. I guess. Yeah, so that's where I got him from. I got him from Willie after Tom died.
Wow. Okay, so now I feel terrible.
Yeah, you killed him.
I don't remember the second thing.
On the good side of Tom was drinking with his friends in his dorm room and passed out, after drinking 1 or 2 drinks. He passed out because he had a brain aneurysm. And his fraternity his roommates rather, I think they actually were pledge brothers. They were pledging the fraternity at the time, or they were just fresh, newly in the fraternity. They, instead of saying, "Oh shit, our friend drank too much and passed out," and laughed at him, they called an ambulance for him, and probably saved his life. And he lived another year. He dropped out of school, but they would come visit him in Raleigh all the time from their school. I think they were at Wilmington, UNC Wilmington, by the beach, on the coast, and they would come in and visit him all the time. And then they all spoke at his funeral. It was really nice. But he lived like another year after that. But he would have died that night if they had just said, "Oh no, he passed out," and covered him in a blanket and left him there. He wouldn't have survived the night.
Yeah.
So he got a year of more life out of him because his brothers reacted correctly.
Oh, that's good.
That's who it was. It was Tom Bolis. His name's in there.
So my third, I couldn't remember my second. My third point that I wanted to make.
I don't remember the second, but I remember the third.
Yeah.
I think it gets
the
promoted
third.
second now.
It's okay, cool. It's second. We're good. It's gonna be a little bit of an awkward transition after your
Dead
sad
Tom.
story, but I was gonna tell my drunkest ever story, which is when I was 21 years old.
Doing time without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried.
I was gonna tell. So I was 21, and I was at work. I was working at Home Depot, and I was about to transfer from the Home Depot in Massachusetts that I worked at to one in Colorado, so that I could move to Colorado. So they were throwing me a going away party, and a going away party in an office where you have like maybe 10 coworkers, you might get fucked up if everybody buys you a drink. But at Home Depot, when you're a head cashier, so you know literally everybody at the store, and the entire store closes, and we go to the bar next door, and everyone buys you a drink. That was the drunkest I've ever been. And the details that I know about that night are not because I remember them, because I've seen video of them on a 2005 camera phone. So, and I'm pretty sure it's
3 MP.
gone. Yeah, it had a pixel rate of 2x2. But so we went.
That's like Noah's pixel rate.
Yeah, I get it. Yep, it took me a second.
Little Noah's Ark joke there. The pixels came on board the Ark 2x2.
Yep. So
anyway, I had this video of me getting drunk and being fucked by a goose.
Right. Okay. No. So I was at this going away party for me, and people keep buying me drinks, and so there's a drink and there's a drink and there's a drink, and I'm not a drinker. Like I'm the most I've ever drank in a night when I wasn't being fed drinks is probably like 7. Like that's the number, the most drinks ever. So I get crazy drunk, and I'm like being wild, and at one point I go out to smoke. It's literally the first time I ever have a cigarette, but my friends are going out to smoke, and instead of wanting a cigarette, I just took one of their cigarettes. They lit it, and I was like, "I'm cool, like you guys," and I was like mocking them. And because I smoked, and I had never smoked a cigarette before, and I was drinking more than I ever drank before, I go into the bathroom. And so the layout of this bathroom, it's a Chinese restaurant. It's 3 urinals and then like 3 sinks, and then behind all that, it was, yeah. So and then there's the stalls that are behind it, right? So I'm in urinal number 3, and later on I go out back to the table, and the waitress comes by and she goes, "Somebody puked in the sink," and it was sink number 1. And I was so fucking mad because I was drunk, and I was like, "Who would do that? That is so fucked up." And I'm getting pissed off. And one of my coworkers is like puts his hand on my shoulder and is like, "Chill. They're gonna clean it up." Waitress walks away, and he goes, "That was you, buddy. You're the one who puked in the sink." He goes, "You were peeing and puking, and it wasn't phasing you at all." So that's my drunkest.
How drunk were you the night before your wedding? Like, or bachelor party, maybe not the night before, but your bachelor party, did you drink?
I did, and I drank enough to puke, but it wasn't because I drank that much. I think so. I don't even remember being drunk at all on the day of my bachelor party.
I mean, you're someone who throws up in a sink of a Chinese restaurant and doesn't know you did it, so I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Well, I'll tell you the story, and then you'll be like, yeah, that's fair. So my bachelor party is like early August, so hot day. We go paintballing. Then we go to we go paintballing in the morning. We go out to my sister and brother-in-law's house after that for noon to whenever. So and we do a cookout and we drink. So by the time we start Adam is on the grill cooking stuff, and the rest of us start a game of Kings. And I've maybe had a drink already. He starts a game of Kings. You're familiar with Kings?
I am not.
Kings is you take a deck of cards, you put a cup in the middle, you spread the cards all around, and different ones mean different things. So like 6 is chicks, 5s is guys. So anybody that's at the table that's a 6, that's a chick has to drink, or a 5, like it's a guy has to drink. All of them have different rules, and then one of them, ace or something, is a waterfall. So like, if you're the person who pulls the card, the person next to you has to drink. It has to go all the way around to you, and you have to drink as long as everybody has to drink as long as the person to their right, except for the initial taker of the card. So literally everyone in the queue basically is taking control of your drinking fate. So you're just chugging and chugging, and they're handing me and I'm drinking beer at this point because which I never drink. I've never drank beer, but I'm drinking beer because I can't chug
anything else. You'll die.
Not rum, not whiskey sour. What was the other one I said earlier? Amaretto sour. Is this going to be usable at all? Amaretto sour. Are you mad at me right now?
No.
Okay. That's the thing that happens to me. I always think people get mad at me. So I can't drink amaretto sour, so I'm waterfalling, and it's probably like literally my third drink at absolute most of the day, and I put the drink down before it's my turn to do it, slide out of my chair, like it's a deck chair, right? And I slide out of it and crawl over. There's like a series of bushes off the edge of the deck, and I just puke once, wipe, and I go back to drinking, and everyone's like, okay, and I'm like, it's just heat. I'm like, it's hot and I'm dehydrated, and then I started drinking, and then that was a fun day. My cousins were there, and two of them were 17, the other was 15, so they can't drink, but they wanted to. I wanted them to be at the party. I thought it'd be fun, and because it wasn't like that. Like drinking wasn't the only thing. It wasn't just like drinking and strippers. It was paintball and then a barbecue. So it wasn't
all the things. I actually arranged a bachelor party for a buddy of mine who had been in Pentecostal preacher speaking in tongues and all that shit, and then came out of religion. And so his first marriage was Pentecostal, his second marriage was as an atheist. And I planned his bachelor party day, and we did airsoft, ball, airsoft, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
And then we went
hard paintball.
Yeah, then we went to a strip club. We went to a friend's house and drank and changed, whatever, showered, and then went to a strip club together. All of us.
Nice.
So I'm with you on that.
Nice. So, cousins, not drinking, want them to be there. Okay. This is after this story. We're gonna wrap it up. Kings. Anyway. So they're not drinking, but they're participating in all the different drinking games that we're doing with Mountain Dews, which.
So they're peeing, but they're not drinking.
Yeah,
not buzzed.
And oh my god, one of my cousins is so white. And
how white is he?
And Adam kept calling him Edward Cullen because he was practically sparkling. All right. I think we should sign off now. Okay. We should tell the listeners, if you are watching us on YouTube, I'm going to really try hard to be sober. I haven't had to try in a while. If you are watching
if thou art YouTube, watching on the tubes of you, the tube, thou
you
tube.
can hit the like, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever you want to do, and we would love that. If you are listening to the podcast through headphones on a podcast app, if it's Apple, there's a whole bunch of shit. You can
subscribe,
comment. You don't subscribe. You hit follow. Oh. Actually, you're right. The subscriber thing though is you're right. I'm sorry. The subscribers are the people who pay us.
That's the one I want. That's what I'm going for.
I just want them to listen to the pod.
I want them to. They're listening. They're hear us now to give us fucking money so we can get drunk again.
Perfect. And we'll just do we'll do patron exclusive episodes when we hit a certain patron level, and maybe some of those will be like pure uncensored, just a whole episode of shit faced.
And if you're listening to us on any other podcast catcher, go ahead and
Subscribe,
follow,
enjoy.
rate if you're allowed to rate. You know what? Sign up for iTunes and rate us on iTunes podcast app, even if you don't listen to us there. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. So these guys are the funniest guys I've ever heard in my life, and they're drunk.
Yeah, if they say that, though, then we have to worry about them. If they think we're the funniest guys they've ever heard, that means they've literally never enjoyed comedy.
Oh, that's right, because you're not that funny. Yeah, we need to go because my wife is giving me the look.
My wife is downstairs probably
With
thinking
Ben and Jerry's.
No, I don't think she does. All right, I will talk to you on the flippity flop.
Hey, everyone, thank you for shooting back a couple of shots of the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.